there's so many ways I can go with this. We're rolling. I'm just going to have some fun.
Go on.
And good thing is we can edit it later.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, can you tell us your name and who you work with?
I am Michelle Hoskin. I run a company called Standards International and I work with financial advisors.
Very good, Michelle. And how long have you been running that business?
Although I know I don't look very old, it's actually 22 years this year.
Well, that's fantastic. Now, how did it all start for you?
Wowzers. So I started working in retail. I worked for Paul Smith, who's a British fashion designer, and I worked in logistics. So my role was to get all of the fabric from the warehouses into the warehouse, get the clothes made and ship them back out to the shops. And I did that while I was studying for my A-levels, and then I did it for a little time after. Well,
Michelle, Whisky Info has known you for some years, but we never knew that, so we're finding out something about you already. How did you get into that?
Well, obviously Paul Smith's a British brand, and their warehouse and offices were in Nottingham, which was where I was born in England. And my dad happened to be the resident kind of handyman builder, and I worked all my way up from being a warehouse assistant to practically the head of stock control and a big deal assistant in the buying department.
Well, knowing you, that doesn't surprise us at all. But how then did you make the transition into the business that you're conducting today?
So it was my dad's 40th birthday. We were in the Yorkshire Dales and I was miserable. I'd left Nottingham to go and work in London and I was sad and unhappy, and my mum said to me, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "Do you know what? I hate my job," and I didn't leave Nottingham to come and work for a retail fashion house. And she got a little tiny piece of paper out of her pocket with a little tiny pen. And she said, "Right, what are you good at?" And I said, "Well, I'm good at organising, I'm good at seeing things clearly, I'm good at bossing people around, and I'm good at getting things shipshape." And she said, "Well, why don't you go and do that for start-up businesses?"
Okay, now we're here at the 2019 MDRT annual meeting. Is there a message in what you just said for your advisor peers with whom you work in terms of doing or following your passion?
Yeah, 100%. I did my presentation yesterday and it was translated into Thai, and there was a lot of women in the audience, a lot of insurance agents and advisors, and it was incredible. You can just tell that they're not all living their best life. And one of the things that I always start with, whether it's a man advisor or a woman advisor or whichever, is, let's focus on you. Let's make sure you're happy, you're living your best life. Because when we make you happy, you living your best life, we can then turn our attention to their business. And as a coach and as a consultant, it's easy for me to transition their business into having this amazing wow business if they're having an amazing wow life.
So then, does it work the other way too, Michelle, where potentially there are some advisors out there who are not following their passion, and perhaps for them there are other options in the future?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, again, I do an exercise called the Future You, and it's, I get all advisors to pick an age or a date in the future, and we literally, in either workshop format or one-to-one, we design the future version of themselves. And over the years of, 20 years of doing this, I've had, into the 30s, 40s, 50s, advisors say to me, "Oh my God, I'm in the wrong job. I need to go and set up a cake making business, or I'm going to go and buy horses and own a ranch," or it can be, it's a real game changing conversation because you've got to love this business. You can't do financial services. You can't be in this profession if you don't absolutely love it more than life itself.
Okay, and you enjoy being at MDRT. I understand you're presenting this year?
Yes, I am, and yes, I do. It's like adrenaline. It's like a drug. So I've bought a colleague and a client from the UK, and he's a top-end planner in the UK, and he was like, "Well, I'm not sure what I'm going to learn." I mean, morning one, he was just like, "My brain is blown out." Like, it just opens the world up. And I was just sitting doing my rehearsing by the pool, and I just was crying, and it was incredible. And I was so overwhelmed by how happy I was, and looking over the sea, and just, so you don't get that by staying in conferences in your own country and mixing with your local peers. And these are not necessarily my peers, but I feel like I'm part of the MDRT and the advisor family. So it's a pretty special time for me.
Oh, that is brilliant, Michelle. But just for a moment, let's go back to Nottingham for a few moments. And I was wondering whether or not when you were at school you were head of the debating class at school or anything like that, or...
I was always the most vocal, I would say, in class.
Can you give me an example of that, Michelle?
Well, to be fair, my teachers, as they do now, say to my daughter, Mrs. Hoskin, Michelle just does need to learn that other people also do have good ideas. And now my daughter's teachers are saying the exact same thing to her. So my actual job that I wanted to be when I was at school was actually a police officer. I wanted to be a policewoman. I think it was just the kind of do it my way or I'm going to send you to prison kind of approach to life that drew me to that profession.
You don't apply any of that attitude towards your relationship with current day advisors, do you, Michelle?
Every day. I mean, it's quite often that I just threaten legal action. They don't do what I tell them. I mean, the thing is, joking aside, financial advisors just need a rocket up the backside. Like, they just need, the pin out of the hand grenade and throw the hand grenade in to kind of wake them up a little bit, because they're working in an exhausting profession where they're literally just, bled dry by their clients. So, a good sort of shot in the arm, little Miss Wow power style always goes down well.
Oh, it sounds pretty brilliant, and perhaps some of our viewers might be interested to learn, Michelle, when you're not sending a rocket up the backside of advisors, what else are you doing with your life these days?
I'm helping these stay this big. This don't happen by accident. Yes, you're looking good. I can't imagine what graphics we're going to put up with that. So I love keeping fit. I turned 40 and had an absolute midlife crisis, shaved my head and started taking tons of vitamins. So it's all part of this, look after myself. My well-being is so important. I've committed to my daughter that I'm going to live until I'm 137, and that's a big old age and a big old promise. So my plan is to see her be a grandma. So I have to take care of myself. So it's just I relax. I go out to the gym. I like eating good food. Trying to keep Ruby under control because she's an absolute car crash waiting to happen. She's just a little carbon copy of me. So yeah, it's just I just try and have as much fun as I can. Life is too serious, and just enjoy it.
Well, you have a brilliant energy, Michelle, and it's such a pleasure to speak with you. One final question back to the industry, though. What do you see to be the future for the advice businesses to whom you consult in the UK?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of things, but to be honest, I think we've got to stop focusing on sort of academic qualifications as being the kind of be-all and end-all to the answer of professionalism. I think what we've got to do is we've got to turn an industry into a profession, but soon after turn a profession into a business. And I think if more financial planning practices were run like businesses and more financial advisors and planners behave like business owners, we wouldn't have half the problems that we have globally, in the sector. So I think it's a real big thing to have that mental and physical shift. Actually, we are not just a profession, we're a business profession. And when we crack that, the world will be our oyster. Well,
that's a fantastic place to finish. It's been a sincere and genuine pleasure. Michelle Hoskin, thank you for your time.
You're very welcome.